Hello everyone, this is coadb.com, or the Coat of Arms database, and today we're going to discuss the meaning of symbols in coats of arms. It's a question that we get asked a lot, and I'm going to tell you up front that the unfortunate and disappointing truth is that in the vast majority of cases, we simply do not know. However, this has not stopped historians from trying to develop educated guesses by examining the topic through the lens of different cultures and religions that either predated or influenced medieval Europeans, such as the Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman, and even Egyptian traditions. Further, other clues can be deduced from coats of arms in some instances. So we're going to begin by discussing 5 common heraldic symbols and their possible meanings, followed by a brief discussion of some other topics that will help one deduce facts and meaning from the symbols in their coats of arms. The first is the lion. Now, the lion holds a high place in heraldry as one of the most common symbols found within coats of arms, and the lion is said to represent deathless courage. In Greek mythology, the Nemean lion was a vicious monster with sharp claws that would pierce armor, and it could not be killed by the weapons of mortals. The Nemean lion was eventually killed by the hero Hercules as the first of his 12 labors. The lion can be interpreted through the lens of the Judeo-Christian tradition. The winged lion is the symbol of Saint Mark the Evangelist, said to be the author of the Gospel of Mark and the founder of the Church of Alexandria. Or take, for example, the story of Daniel in the lion's den, where Daniel is thrown into a den of lions and miraculously survives. The lion can also be emblematic of Christ as king and the resurrection of Christ, as lions were believed to sleep with one eye open, or with their eyes open. Further, the lion's emblem of the tribe of Judah and is featured in the coat of arms of the flag of Israel. Danish Vikings were early adopters of the lion as the royal emblem in northeastern Europe. In the centuries to come, it became a symbol of England through the 3 lions which were on the coat of arms of King Richard III of England, known as Richard the Lionheart, due to the bravery and fierce leadership he displayed as one of the main Christian commanders in the Third Crusade. In Germany, Austria, and Southern European heraldry, preference was typically given to the eagle as opposed to the lion. And it's also notable that at a time when heraldry began, few Europeans had a chance to encounter actual lions, so the painters had to rely on traditional depictions and had no real animals as models. It is believed lions were present in parts of southern Europe until about 100 BC. Next is the key. Here we see 3 examples on coats of arms. Although one expects to find fierce creatures and fearsome weapons depicted in a coat of arms, this is not always the case. Sometimes simply mundane household objects are used. The key is a typical example of this. It is said to symbolize guardianship and dominion, as well as knowledge, liberation, mystery, and initiation. The key can also confine and release. In the Christian religion and the Roman Catholic Church, the key is the emblem of St. Peter, the guardian of the gate of heaven. In Matthew chapter 16, Jesus symbolically gives Peter the keys to heaven. I give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. His gold key represents his power to dissolve any sin and open the door to heaven and eternal life. His silver key represents his power to lock out unworthy souls from the gate of heaven. The ancient coat of arms of the Holy See of Rome shows the keys crossed, which is known as the keys of life and death. Keys typically invoke temporal power, but or gold keys are said to invoke spiritual power. As such, keys thus frequently appear in ecclesiastical heraldry. Also, Hecate or Hecate is a goddess in ancient Greek mythology, most often depicted holding a pair of torches or keys. According to a 3rd century BC poem by Theocritus, as holder of the keys, Hecate could unlock the gates between realms and the gates of death. Next is the Escalip. Escalips were associated with those individuals that completed long journeys to far countries, those who had achieved great victories in battle, such as naval commanders. An escallop is a representation of the outside of a seashell, sometimes fluted, of a different color, and is present in the heraldic traditions of most European nations. It is believed that escallops were adopted as badges of those traveling to the Holy Land and can be found on the arms of many crusading families. The escallop shell was attached to the pilgrim's hood or hat in his expeditions to holy sites and became such a distinguished ensign that Pope Alexander IV allowed it to none but pilgrims who were truly noble. It is said the pilgrim would be provided with food and water by local churches and castles if he bore the escallop. The knight could expect to be given as much sustenance as he could pick up with one scoop of his shell. Thus, even the poorest household could give charity without being overburdened. In this tradition, the escallop represents hospitality. It should also be noted that the escallop is a symbol of the apostle St. James the Greater, who died in the year 44 AD. According to Arms of Hammersmith, to the road to Santiago, according to an author of a piece called The Road to Santiago, states, having been a fisherman in Galilee and having taken the road that helped him discover his spirit, the escallop shell is the emblem of St. James, and its symbolism relates to two layers of the human condition, the physical and the spiritual. St. James was an ordinary pilgrim like the rest of us. He walked a long, difficult road with Jesus. He was imprisoned by his raging emotions, and he went through metaphoric fires to free himself and discover the vastness of his spirit. He learned how to live an authentic, peaceful life, and he shared his personal lessons with others. Next is the Byzance. In heraldry, Byzance signified one who was worthy of trust or treasure. A byzant, or Latin solidus, is a gold coin issued by the Byzantine emperors at Constantinople in the early Middle Ages. It was replaced by the hyperpyron in the year 1092 AD by Emperor Alexis I. It shares the same root as the name Byzantium. Later, the term was used to cover the gold dinars produced by Islamic governments. The use of the bezant in heraldry originated during the Crusades, when knights from Western Europe first came into significant contact with Byzantine gold coins. It is assumed that during victories, many knights obtained such gold coins when they sacked Constantinople. The coins also made their way into European circulation through trade with the East. Next is the boar. In the Middle Ages, the wild boar, sometimes called a sanglier, was a far more fearsome creature than its domesticated relative, the pig. The wild boar was more common in those days and was a symbol associated with warriors. In the Roman Empire, at least 13 legions were known to have used a boar as their emblem. In Greek mythology, Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, is linked with the wild boar. The Caledonian or Aetolian boar was a monster that Artemis sent to ravage the region of Caledon in Aetolia to punish its king, who failed to honor the gods. The boar was killed by a group of male heroes and a woman named Atalanta, who won its hide as she was the first to pierce the beast with an arrow. During the Middle Ages, a boar's head was often the fee due to a king or a great lord, as the condition of feudal tenure. It was also introduced to Queen's College, Oxford, England, in connection with the well-known Christmas festivities. In this tradition, the boar is a symbol of hospitality. In Scotland, a boar's head is the crest of Clan Campbell and Clan Innes. It appears in the coats of arms of the crest of Clan Chisholm, and 3 boar's heads appear in the coats of arms of the related clans Swinton, Gordon, Nesbet, and Urquhart. In Ireland, 3 boars are seen on the coats of arms of Lockhart, Grimsby, and the Healy families, and the Crowley, Cassidy, and McCann arms feature boars as well. The next topic to discuss, marks of cadency. In heraldry, cadency is any systematic way to distinguish arms displayed by descendants of the holder of a coat of arms when those members have not been granted arms in their own right. Cadency is necessary in heraldic systems in which a given design may be owned by one and only one person at any time, generally the head of the senior line of a particular family. As in armigers, arms may be used by courtesy, either by children or spouses, while they are still living. Some form of differencing may be required so as to not confuse them with the original undifferenced or plain coat of arms. And in the system of English heraldry, a label or lapel of 3 points signifies the firstborn son, a crescent signifies the second, a mullet the third, a martlet the fourth, an annulet the fifth, a fleur-de-lis the sixth son. A rose represents the 7th born son. Cross moline is the 8th, and an octofoil is 9. And the lozenge is for the gentleman's wife. Here we see 3 examples of marks of cadency. We have a crescent in the Abercrombie arms. And canting arms, our next topic. Canting arms are heraldic bearings that represent the bearer's name, or less often, some attribute or function, in a visual pun or puzzle. canting arms are quite common in German heraldry. Here we see 4 examples. The Shelley coat of arms featuring seashells, wellwood featuring a tree coming out of a well, keys featuring 3 keys, and the Roosevelt coat of arms featuring 3 roses. Another example, more subtle, is the Molyneux coat of arms, or Molyneux, azure across Moline. And this comes from the fact that the symbol resembled a mill rind, the iron clamp of the upper millstone, moline being the old French word for a mill. More obvious one is archer. Shakespeare. And in some cases in the military and navy, it's fairly obvious some of these coats of arms. If you see a sailor or a ship or water, that can be indicative of someone who was in the navy. In this case, Admiral Horatio Nelson. Next we have Martin Harpenzoon Trump, his coat of arms featuring a ship on water. He was a Dutch naval commander. And lastly, Lennart Torstenstein, who was a Swedish field marshal and military engineer. And his coat of arms features 2 cannons, some cannonballs, and a mounted knight in the crest. So all indicative of the military. If you enjoyed this video, please visit us at coadb.com, where we offer genealogical and ancestral research, as well as digital JPEG files and merchandise such as t-shirts, mugs, posters, pillows, and canvas prints. Thank you.